Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back with the greatest ever Never Chalked episode. I'm your host,
That's
Volts,
right. He's the
joined by
host.
your joined by my co-host, Piscaro DB. And we are live on Twitch right now, or if you're checking us out after this is over, we'll be on the YouTube, the YouTube, the tube, whatever you want to call it. But I'm feeling a little scruffy today, dude.
Same.
I have not shaved in 2 to 3 weeks. But how's my boy feeling? How are
Wait,
you feeling,
that's
Drew?
two. That's 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I can't grow facial hair for shit. I don't even know how long it's been.
Uh,
Oh shit. I'm doing great, man. Busy week. I just got back from Boston, celebrating the Boston Celtics, baby. We're the balls, banner
mm-hmm.
18. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a fun weekend. I got my third wedding anniversary tomorrow.
Oh my
Uh,
God!
I got
Congratulations,
my
dude.
25th birthday on Saturday. It's a busy week.
It sounds like it. That's a
But
busy month if you think about it.
yeah, but I'm doing great, man. I'm just, finally online COD is done for the
Go
year. We all love to
over.
see it. And the great thing is there's not a huge gap between Major 4, which obviously is this week, and then Champs is not long after. So we're really just rolling into the end of the year, and then it's all eyes on roster mania and the off season and all that.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into this episode, man. So I want to start us off with before I know everybody's probably tuning in right now to see the bracket. The bracket is coming. We will be
Yes.
debating because Drew and I, believe it or not, do not agree on everything. So,
Whoa.
um, but we will be trying to formulate the perfect bracket today. So the never
Yes, sir.
chalked perfect bracket where it
Yeah,
is
we're gonna put our
never
brains
chalked.
together.
Never chalked, where it is never chalked, my dude. But I've got a segment for us that I have been telling you I've wanted to do for a while, and now that it feels like the regular season is over, it just feels like perfect time to do it, especially
That's right.
since online COD, like we said, is done. And so let's get right into this. So this segment is the top 5 role changes of the
I love
CDL
it.
from this season.
Look, I'm a sucker
And
for top fives. Anything
yeah,
that's like the number one thing I'd be getting hooked on, like on YouTube. You just be watching a random like Watch Mojo video. So I'll be
yeah,
looking forward to this. It's a great
yeah.
idea and honestly a really fun topic because I think more so than previous seasons, we've really seen a lot of role changes this
We did
year.
see a lot of role changes, and like most of the time they've worked out pretty good. And I'm going to tell you, I thought really long and hard about this and ranking them. And I will give my reasons why I picked each one for each spot. Um, but let's get right into it, man. So starting at number 5, we have the Priesta move to the SMG. They brought in, who was it? It was that was when they brought in
Major Maniac.
Major Maniac, and so Major Maniac is an AR. Someone had to move. It wasn't going to be Beans. So although Beans has been pulling out an SMG recently, I don't know if you saw that. He's been pulling out an
Yeah.
SMG recently and kind of frying with it. But the Priest that moved to that one was kind of easy because um, it was kind of one of the last role changes I that was blatant that I could think of, and it did kind of work out for Priesta. Priesta has looked pretty comfortable being back on an SMG. It's been a long time since he's been on an SMG. I think since what I can't even remember. He's been on the AR
Uh,
for a while
I
now.
think the last time he ran it was he
Was
on
it
Minnesota
MW19?
Rocker? No, because he ran it during Cold War for a
He did
bit.
run it during Cold War.
Yeah, he was flex and also SMG on that team.
Okay.
Um, because I think halfway through the season is when
He
Attach
definitely wasn't in
switched.
Vanguard, so it had to have been since Cold War. So
Yeah,
he looked comfortable on it, and it proved to finally kind of pay off because they got that win over OpTic, and so.
Although
More on that
then
later. More on
again, I
that
don't know how
later.
much that's saying the split,
Okay,
but
okay, Drew. Hold on. Wait, before we get into
hold
all
up
that,
now. Hold
hold
up
up.
now.
Before we get into all of that, uh, but yeah, that's my number five. Coming in at number four, I have the Purge move to SMG, and that might surprise a few people because that, even though he's no longer in the league, but that switch it changed the dynamic on how Vegas Legion looked. They
Hmm.
looked arguably like a top four team while he moved to SMG. You know, because he was doing absolutely terrible on the AR.
Yeah,
He was
dropped like a
terrible, and it
point
was and
six at Major
yeah,
1.
and it was like drop him then, and then back then I would have been like, yeah, that was a smart move. But then they moved him to SMG, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, is this really gonna work? And hell yeah, it did. His stats went up, and he was the vocal leader of that team and transformed that team. Ultimately, they end up kind of scapegoating him and dropping him. So you and I were kind of banging on the table saying bring Purge back. Now they're kind of looking a little bit better. I still
Yeah.
don't think they were as good as that team was with Purge, but they have potential. So
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because, again, I think a lot of people were just like, cut him after he was
yeah,
struggling on AR. A lot of people really questioned the move to SMG, but they were playing really well, or pretty well. And then they dropped him. And I think that is that when they brought ASIM in?
yeah, they brought
And that was a horrendous move in hindsight. A lot of people thought it would work. It didn't, very clearly, but they ended up making another shift and bringing in Johnny,
yeah,
and they're back on track. But no, I think he looked really good after that
yeah,
switch,
yeah.
100%.
It was great. Coming in at number three, one of my favorite moves of the season because I did not think it would absolutely work out at all. But it is Hook becomes the IGL. I mean, who would have seen that one coming? Like he
Yeah,
is teaming with three rookies, and so he was forced into the role of in-game leader, and he has stepped up to the plate. Like not only has it impacted his gameplay, his game style, um, and the way he likes to play the game. But he has shown like he actually kind of fits the role of an IGL. Like, and I never would have thought that from Hook. Hook used to be like, this quiet, really laid back guy. But when you hear him in the comms now, he goes extra hard. He is like, I heard him in this last match that they were in. He was like calling out a guy banana about 5 6 times, and just to make sure like he's just being it, and he tells them all. And I actually watched this video today from the Seattle Surge, and Hook was after they had lost at Major 3 to the New York Subliners. Hook sat like the three guys down and was telling them like we did not play our style of COD. We did not play our game, and that is why
yeah.
we lost to the New York Subliners. And I would agree with that, but that's not the point. But I'm just saying, like this is stuff Hook has not done in the past, and now that he has made this change, it has elevated his game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the highest rated move that we have on here, but I think it's the biggest shift in
Yeah,
terms of a player's play style that we saw this season.
because Hook is a very run, gun, get in your face, and he still kind of plays that way. But being an IGL, you are forced to slow down because you've got to read the map.
Yeah,
And so,
and having to put trust in three rookies. I mean, again, it's not like he's
yeah,
got another veteran around him to kind of help push the narrative, obviously, or push whatever they're trying to do. Really, it's just obviously Coach Rambo Ray
yeah,
showing a lot of trust in Hook, which a lot of people didn't know if that was still there based on how things kind of fell out um, with Dallas Empire, and then obviously Rambo Ray was gone by the time Hook was on OpTic Texas last year, and so a lot of people didn't know how that was going to work out, but clearly their relationship must still be in a good spot. And I think Rambo Ray putting a lot of confidence in Hook to,
yeah,
tell him like you have the credibility in this scene to be in that position now. I think that kind of push and motivation is what's allowing him to flourish in this role for sure.
Right. Absolutely. So moving on to number two, I have the metals vehicle swap of SMG AR roll. So metals originally started off as an SMG, and we had vehicle on the AR, and they have since flipped. We have vehicle now on the SMG, and we have metals on the AR. And it has transformed this team. They have gone from being basically just onliners to kind of lanimals now. In a
Yep.
way, we only got one tournament from it,
Yeah.
but they're still looking good online.
Yep.
Um, and arguably one of the hottest teams going into Major Four. And a big part of that is because of that swap right there.
Yeah, and I mean, in all honesty, if they didn't have to let Purge fill in on a last second basis for their first match versus Optic this split, it's very possible that they would have had another win under their belt with their
Yeah.
full roster. Just again, especially with how Optic's been playing as of late.
Yep.
Um, but no, I definitely thought it was weird seeing them having them flip flopped at the beginning of the year, anyways. Because Beagle obviously was pretty solid on SMG last year,
Yeah.
and he was the only incumbent player on this roster. Um, but you know, Metals honestly, I saw, I can't remember who it was. It was either Tactical Rab or Ace or one of those guys, and they said if there was a Most Improved Player award in the CDL, Metals deserves it 100%. And I couldn't agree more because I mean he at times looks like one of the top ARs in the game. I'm not saying he is.
Yeah.
Pump the brakes, I get it,
No,
but
but he's good.
like when he's frying, like they look dangerous, and
Yeah.
he clearly is in like the perfect role for him.
Yeah. And then this leads into number one, which to me is the biggest impact, and it actually was a role swap on a team that we had already mentioned, but it is another one for the Seattle Surge. And I think the biggest move of the season was Abuza moves to the AR,
Yep.
specifically the main AR role that he had did in Challengers, coming in being the number one Challengers player this year. Um, and they had him on the SMG because they had Arcides, they had Illy, and it was like, okay, we're just kind of forcing him into this SMG role. And granted, he did okay. Like I wouldn't say he was bad,
Right. It
but he
wasn't
wasn't.
like Purge level of getting gunned like he
Yes,
was on AR.
yeah, it was just more of like you could tell he was uncomfortable, and you could tell that he has talent.
Yep.
Um, so then, we have a bunch of switches from the Seattle Surge, but this is the biggest one, was just moving Abuza to the AR, letting him get back on his true role, and my God, has this transformed that team.
Yep.
Especially when you think in combination of having Hook as IGL now, and then you got Abuza playing the main AR role, it has transformed the Seattle Surge team to where they are a legitimate threat going into Major Four and even champs.
Yeah, I mean, again, I give credit to Rambo Ray as a coach. I think going into this year, they realized, we have RCs, we have Illy. We're not going to force one of them to play SMG because they
They're
both have
established.
great established. Yeah, they're both established CDL ARs. Um, but I think once they finally decided, like, okay, this just isn't working out. Obviously, Illy was removed after Major One, still
Yep.
for unknown reasons. I'm
Yep.
not gonna say, we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Arcides obviously got dropped just for poor performance, and I think he just didn't overthink it. He could have maybe looked to bring in another AR and keep Abuza on SMG, but I think he was like, no, like we gotta let this kid play his role. The spots available, I'd rather go and find an SMG, and I mean that worked out beautifully because he's killing it in his main role that he's so used to, and then B, you went and got 04, who honestly has looked like a fantastic, perfect pairing with Hook this season.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So that is Never Chalk's top five role changes in the CDL for this year. And so that's going to kind of bring us into our next segment, which we're
That's
gonna look at the
right.
major four standings currently.
Yes, sir. It's a little
Uh,
small. I'm trying to fix that.
so as you can see here is the bracket, and it
Yeah.
is time for us to uh, let's discuss something first.
Yes.
What pops out to you immediately?
This one right here. This bad boy.
Yeah.
OpTic Texas
From
number 12.
first to worst, we have OpTic Texas.
You also, I guess,
Congrats
one.
on breaking a CDL record of
Yeah.
being the first team to go from winning a major to being the last seed at the very next tournament.
Yeah, definitely not the type of record you want to be breaking
Nope.
ever.
And we did, and I did confirm that on Twitter. I was like, "Has this happened? I don't recall it ever happening before." Apparently, LAG when they won, they were the 11th seed. Apparently, I think it was Minnesota Rocker or
Or
won an event.
Seattle, I think.
Was yeah, it was Seattle. Seattle won an event and then got the 11th seed as well. But you won a major, and very convincingly, I might add. And then you just like you look like the 12th seed. Like
They
you
just look like
honestly,
they have no confidence. It's
they,
to
there's no
me,
teamwork. There's no
yeah,
teamwork.
the
There's nothing
situationals
there.
are gone. I don't know if this like you have to assume that the changes in this patch following the major had to have had a major like impact on how they were playing and stuff because I think I've seen a lot of times, especially this split, where they're not finishing kills. Like they'll be
Yeah.
shooting at someone and they just stop shooting because they expect them to be dead. And I know that's annoying to have to like readjust to that, but like you had
I
seven
mean,
matches to do it.
you're pros. Yeah, you had plenty of matches, plenty of opportunities. This is not. It wasn't like I don't care what anybody says. It's not just because it's online COD.
Yep.
They were a top 14 for a reason, and doesn't matter if it was online COD. Doesn't matter if they were testing their map pool. You do not lose that many matches simply because of those two things.
Agreed.
Okay, so
And
well,
before we dive into the actual like picking teams and debating, I just want to say, obviously the CDO Intel is there. This is or their logo is there. This is their
yes,
graphic that they put together for
shout
the
out CDL
major. I
Intel.
just want to give them a shout out that we're using their graphic. Didn't want to act like we put this together ourselves or anything. They usually post these before every single major, and it's usually my go-to when I put my own bracket together, and especially
Yep.
for doing this here. So again, just shout out to them for putting the major four bracket together, and I think we can just dive in and start
Yeah.
putting this thing together.
So I'm thinking maybe we spend about 30 seconds each for each like match. So that way it's like a
Yeah,
minute each because there's so many matches. I just don't want us to kind of like
right.
get caught up
I,
into it.
I would
We
say it's going to be easier to breeze through the first few rounds
yeah,
and save the actual like
debating.
discussions for like the later rounds because that's where I think
We can
we'll.
even, you know what? I just thought of something. We could even name who we think is going to win, and if we agree, we don't even debate. You know what I mean? Like we just
Yeah,
move
fair
on,
enough.
say it, and if we disagree, that's when we can have our debate.
Yep, I like
Okay,
that. So
so
I think 1 versus 8. You have Toronto Ultra and LAG.
swift 3-0 from Toronto Ultra.
Yeah, I'm not debating this one. I'm not overthinking it. Toronto beat Phase online. Uh,
Definitely hottest team going into this major.
yeah, they really seem to have found their form. People were worried after they got, their shit kicked in against
Yep.
Optic in the grand
Although
finals of the last
that's still
major.
concerning because it's like
True.
if that's what's happening on land, like they've always looked good online, and then they come to the land looking good, and then it's just that last day is when they kind of look bad. But
Right.
well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Yep. So that takes us to our next winners bracket matchup, which would be or let's go by the seeding. So let's do Atlanta Phase versus NYSL.
I think this is a phase win, probably like 3-1 or something.
Yeah, I mean I could see NYSL taking a map. but
Yeah.
they still managed to struggle this split against those lower. I think the gaps closed more, but they still struggled against those types of teams, and even against OpTic, it took them 5 maps, and they've been struggling. So
Yeah.
I
So
think
we'll
that's.
take we're taking phase,
Oh
not
wait, yeah.
NYSL.
Oh yeah. I'm waffling. Hold on.
You can go ahead and put them down in the losers.
Yeah, might as well. So they would be playing Minnesota and
Minnesota.
And then we got that bad boy matchup right there, LAG and Carolina. We'll come back to that. All right, next matchup would be our 3 versus 6. This
Which
one I'm
is
super excited for.
I
We've
am too.
got Seattle Surge versus Las Vegas Legion.
So I have Seattle Surge winning 3-2. I think it goes the distance because Legion are looking good. They did beat the Surge online, but I have Surge winning on land just because I think they are the better land team.
I, I'm so torn on this one because Vegas, like you said, they beat them online, which we know that doesn't always mean a whole lot. Um, But when you have a guy like Attach, like you just know they're gonna come out firing day one, especially when they're not always a team that makes winners bracket off the rip. But overall, I mean, Seattle obviously has been shooting this split, and this major, like we've said, isn't gonna be like your traditional major. There's not gonna be fans there. Yes, it's on land, but it's really one of those ones where I feel like a lot more of random things can happen.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I think I'm going to take Seattle in that opening matchup, which means we would have Vegas taking on the Boston Breach. That's real scary hours right there for them. Um,
Yeah. Um, okay, so that moves us on to
the
Thieves and Heretics.
Yep, final
I
matchup, which is two teams notoriously known this season for not being able to win on land. Miami kind of changed that up last split. LAT not so much.
Nope.
So
I have Miami winning 3-2. I think it goes the distance. I think the Thieves start looking better on land, but I do not have them winning this matchup. I think Miami's one of the hottest teams coming into this major, and I think they get it done. It goes the distance, but I do think they get it done.
yeah, I honestly just again I know that we just said the thing about there's not gonna be fans there, so things could be different, but just the fact that we're this far into the season and the only team they've beaten on land is Boston, it's so hard to take them.
Yep.
So I gotta go with Miami there as well. And that means we would have the Nade Shot Bowl of OpTic Texas versus LA Thieves in losers bracket.
Yep.
So we've
So,
got our winners. Our day one winners would be Ultra, Phase, Surge, and Miami.
yep.
So I think we go down to the losers bracket now and start doing those matchups.
Yep. Which one would you like to start with?
We'll start with the 8 versus 9. So LAG versus Carolina. I think you know
Okay.
where I'm going with this one.
I'm going Royal Ravens, and
Yeah.
I don't even think it's close. I think it's a 3-1 victory. You know, I think LAG can pull them out, but I'm going Royal Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. LAG's got to play their ass off just like Carolina does because this is all of their last opportunities to secure points to make champs. But just knowing the guys that are on that Carolina squad, especially Clayster, knowing how bad he wants to clinch a spot at champs, and how they've performed on land this year, uh, they seem like the best choice in my opinion.
Yeah,
All right.
I just think they look too good on land.
Yeah.
Talking about you know, Royal Ravens, but
Yeah.
so I guess
So we'll next go to we'll go to this NYSL versus Minnesota matchup.
I'm taking NYSL. I don't think they
Yeah.
have any trouble handling Rocker.
I was gonna say I don't have much more discussion on that one. I
Nope.
just Rocker. Again, they're one of those teams that it really looks like they have been using whether it's single tap sprint or auto tack sprint, whatever the fuck it is, they've been abusing online. And I think I don't have confidence in them beating NYSL.
I don't at all. I don't think they have the talent for it. I do think they have talent, but
Right.
they don't have the talent for it. And I just think NYSL is too good of a team. They just kind of had a tough draw the first round going up against FaZe. Otherwise, they'd probably be moving forward.
Yep.
Um, but and then Rocker kind of got the shit end of it too by getting the loser of FaZe in New York. So I think no matter who they play, even if we were to get this one wrong, they'd be losing that one. So
Yeah. So that'll take us to the next one, which would be, let's go Vegas versus Boston. Do we even want to
give
debate
me
this one?
Vegas. Give me
Yeah, give me
Vegas. I think
Vegas.
Vegas is hot, and I think they
And
got a.
Boston's not playing. Like, let's be real. Boston would have to win the major, and a bunch of teams would have to like place in very specific spots just for them to even have a chance at making champs.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Vegas is very much on the cusp of making versus not. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right. The
so
match
back to
everybody wants us to talk about.
the match that's probably gonna be. It might be the most viewed of the major. Uh,
Outside
just
of grand finals.
yeah. Just because if Optic were to get one and done after going and winning a major, that would just be really weird. I'll let you give your pick first.
I am taking OpTic Texas.
Yep.
It's gonna go the distance though, again because I think thieves are gonna look more impressive. They just got tough draws both times, man.
Yeah.
Going up against a hotter team and then going up against OpTic Texas that are gonna be looking to prove themselves. So give me OpTic Texas 3-2.
Yeah, I know we have been bashing them, rightfully so. Um, all split. They have just not looked like the same team at all. Uh, but if LA Thieves is trying to pick up their second land win of the year, and you have to go up against Optic Texas, I I, I
Yeah,
just don't feel confident that you're gonna get it
yeah,
done.
and that's just unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
For thieves, I think almost anybody else in losers they would have had more of a chance,
Yep.
but um, not against Optic, unfortunately. So
And now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I want to say the final match of the day would be. Would it be
I think
It wouldn't be Carolina versus Optic, would it?
I think it would be no. I think it would
It'd be
be
Subliners in Vegas
yeah,
because they wouldn't make Optic play back to back like that.
yeah. I don't think so.
So final matchup for Saturday under our hypothetical scenario. I'm dropping a hot take bomb. I'm going Vegas.
Really, I had thought about that, but I just think I do think New York is going to come out swinging. Um, I think this goes either way, but man, part of me just wants to pick New York here. I just don't think they lose this early.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to judge New York. Obviously, they've made it to Champ Sunday. They've gotten double first rounded.
Yeah,
They've
it's so hard to read.
struggled against teams similar to Vegas. I mean, they've lost on land, I think, twice to Carolina. Um,
Our personal brackets, by the way, guys, will be out later too.
yep,
Um, but I'm pretty sure I think I on my personal bracket that I filled out I picked subliners because I just don't think they lose this early.
that's
I just
fair.
don't I just don't
Yeah,
think they lose this early.
I mean,
But
losing on Saturday or Friday would be pretty. That'd be early for them.
yeah,
I think for the sake of playing it safe, I feel good because if Vegas wins, I mean, I think it would go. the distance. I think it
It's
would
gonna
go
go. I
3-2.
think it might go the distance either way, and depending on what that map set is what's gonna
Yeah, it's
happen.
just
But
NYSL's S&D has looked very, very sus.
that's true. That's true.
But I think I can agree that like this would just be like
I
a
just think it's a
really
little
early
early for
exit.
them, a little early for them to go out. So yeah,
I can vibe with
it's
it. So let's do it. Let's have NYSL
so this
advancing
is we're about to start getting into me leaking, I guess, part of my script for this
the
major.
script.
The
All right,
script.
we're on Saturday. So I want to say first matchup of the day would be that a limb round two matchup between Carolina and Optic.
Give me Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
and
so
to be
tough.
honest, I almost don't even think it goes map 5. I think they could get it done in 4. Um, and it's going to crush the hearts of Optic fans. But I'm taking Carolina Royal Ravens in ELO round 2, and Optic is out because they are chalked. They are
Yeah.
chalked.
Oh,
I'm
it's
sorry.
so hard. I mean, I want to pick Carolina. Obviously, I'm a Carolina fan, and I mean,
Since I technically picked subliners, I will let you take the
okay,
quote unquote
the
tiebreaker
fine, yeah,
here.
the tiebreaker. You know,
But I do
if
let
Carolina wasn't a good land team, I would give the benefit of the doubt to Optic. But they're a good land team, and
yeah,
they've got Clayster, and they need these points way more than Optic does.
they're coming out swinging, man.
I'm going Carolina.
There
You know
you
what?
go.
I
I can
think
convince you.
I vibe with that. And that's me being super unbiased. Because, like, if this was my own bracket, I would have just instantly gone
Well, let me
Carolina.
just tell you this: like Carolina is a couple chokes away from them being in winners bracket. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
Optic is not playing well right now. They are
Yep.
just not. Now, could they turn it around on land? Absolutely.
They just
But
won't have the green wall there to energize
but
them.
if we're
That's the
going,
thing.
we here's what we get to go off of. We get to go off of the online performances, and that's it.
Yep.
Yes, Optic won the previous major, but that has nothing to do with this major. They're on a new patch or whatever it is,
Yep. New patch,
and
no fans.
and Carolina has definitely looked more impressive, although they've gotten some losses, um, and they've kind of thrown some matches, but they were very close to them being the ones that were in winners bracket.
Yep.
So give me Carolina.
Yep. I agree. So that takes us to, I would assume, Toronto versus Miami.
Yep.
I
And
I don't have a whole
he,
lot of discussion here. I'll hear you out if you do, but
yeah, I'm telling you, I'm about to leak my own script, but I'm taking Miami because I think they are super hot right now, and I think they're gonna want. I think they lost to Toronto in the online qualifiers. This
yeah, I
this
think they
split,
did.
I think they played each other, and I think they're gonna be out for revenge. They're hot. Toronto doesn't need the points. There's no fans. Give me Miami.
All right, it was your turn to break the tie, so you made a compelling case. So we're just getting real wild out here. All
We
right,
are.
which takes us to we are
Unless
Penn
you want to
State.
convince me otherwise. Unless
I
you want to.
mean, I don't really have much of a convincing argument. So that drops Toronto down to facing NYSL because they always flip flop like that.
Yep.
I know that for a fact. Which means our next matchup is atlfaze versus Seattle Surge.
And here's another one. I am taking Seattle Surge over Atlanta FaZe in a 3-2 fashion because I think they also want to prove themselves on land. They are hot coming into this. They threw some matches online. Vegas is going to beat subliners. Oh yeah, we'll see. We debated that one already though, man. We're on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I'm for the subliners, but Vegas is hot right now. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
What we said earlier was we think that's just too early for a New York subliners team to go out,
Yep.
but it is a tough matchup. So but you get to break the tie on this one.
Yeah. Seattle
But
obviously had their best split of the year, but I just don't see a world where both Miami and Seattle win in
okay,
winner's bracket. And if I'm going to pick any team to put confidence on in LAN, at least before Champ Sunday,
even with no
it's
fans,
it's Atlanta phased. Yeah,
they're
even with
looking
no
good, but not
fans.
that good. I don't know if you've been watching, man. Seattle's just been throwing some games. They were a map 5 away from being 5-2,
So,
and
oh, you know what this means?
yeah,
Oh
we're back at
man.
it, bro.
Oh man.
Anyways, on
So now we're
to
on to. Are we on to Champ Sunday yet? Or no, no,
no,
no. We would have these matchups.
yep,
We'd have these two play each other, and then these two.
yep.
So NYSL versus Toronto.
Give me Toronto.
Toronto.
They're
Yep.
way
I was
too.
gonna say
They're way too good, and
they've
I
owned that
yeah,
matchup all
that
year.
that right there is where New York subliners go out. I don't think that's too early. It's a top 6 finish, uh, and they lock up the number 4 seed because of it. So
Yeah. And that leaves us with
yeah, and I'm sorry to
the
say,
Never
brother,
Chalk Bowl.
the never chalk. I'm going Seattle
Yeah,
because
no, I'm with you. I'm going Seattle. They've had Carolina's number all year, and I don't see that changing, unfortunately.
no,
I don't know if you had any more to add to that. I know it kind of cut
no,
you off,
no.
but
I just think I think right now like it's the same thing. Yeah, they have Carolina's number. Um, they perform well on land too, so it may go the distance. But in the end, I just think Seattle's going to be just a little too much for them.
yep. All right, so that brings us to Champ Sunday. First matchup being winners finals.
No, it would
No.
be elimination round 4.
Oh, limb round four. My apologies. Between
So
Seattle
we've
and
agreed
Toronto.
we've agreed on everything so far. I don't know who gets the tiebreaker here, but I'm telling you right now who I'm going with.
Oh, this one's so tough because Seattle is the only team that beat Toronto this split, and they
Yep.
did it in reverse sweep fashion. Uh,
This is obviously a different Toronto team than week 1,
absolutely,
but
and
I think Seattle's coming in hot, and I'm taking Seattle, but I think you get the tiebreaker here, brother. So, or maybe actually I think
I
I
think
get the
it's you do.
tiebreaker.
I took
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah, so I'm picking Seattle
All right,
if you're torn.
I'm torn because of the matchup we had earlier, and again, just with these top teams, I think so many of them feed off of fans, whether
Yeah,
it's being cheered or being booed. Uh, and just again having a crowd to like talk shit to in general. Like Scrap loves to like talk to the crowd, and there's not gonna be one.
hmm
Uh, I
it's
think
gonna. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a different major. Now, will our bracket be 100% right? Probably not, but
it's gonna be funky.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be a funky major. I'm
Some
like
might
every
even go ahead and argue that it's a Mickey Mouse major,
sure.
which I think definitely is accurate compared to the other three. But that doesn't mean that teams like Seattle and Carolina and Vegas can take it lightly because they're playing for their champs' lives.
Yeah,
Obviously, FaZe, Ultra, if they lose because they're just like, we've got the 1 or 2 seed locked up, we don't want to show any of our strats for champs, so be it. The other teams don't have that luxury, and that's why I think we will see a lot of upsets at this major.
we will see upsets, and
So now,
I want to point out too, just before we
oh,
move
yeah, yeah,
on,
yeah.
Seattle plays on absolute terrible internet because they play in Vancouver,
Yeah, true.
uh, and so that's a big reason why they kind of turn up on land.
Yep.
Um, and so I know they had a bad land performance at Major Two, but they were going through so many changes at that point that that's kind of irrelevant in my opinion.
Yeah.
They've placed top 6 at the other 2 majors, and I think this is the major where they have a breakthrough. um, whether it be top four, top three. But I do think they get up there. So,
Yep.
anyways, moving on to the next one.
Next one, I
It's gonna be.
know Miami has given FaZe some close matchups.
Yep.
They've taken S&Ds off of them.
I have.
I just,
It's your tiebreaker, but you already know because I've leaked it to you. But I have Miami winning this.
yeah.
Um, so but it's your tiebreaker. So if you think it's phase, go right
Yeah, I
for
mean, at this point, people are going to start thinking I'm a FaZe fanboy because this will be the second
it.
time I guess, vetoed and picked FaZe. But to me, even though, again, they're not in need of any of these points, I think they
Nope.
just look at this like this is a cakewalk for us to win in terms of the major, like with
Yep.
who's left on Champ Sunday. And again, there's one team in this league that doesn't slip up against the lower tier teams,
You
and it's
say that,
FaZe.
Dennis, but we've been he said Miami beating phase is crazy, but I like it.
I mean, look, it wouldn't shock me based on the circumstances of the
That's what
event.
I'm saying. Like everybody that is just so glued to like, oh, it's the top three, it's the top four. This is a different major, okay? Like I don't know how many
Yeah.
times we have to say it. There's no fans there. It's strictly just the
This is
players.
straight up the bubble of the CDL
Yeah,
2024 season.
yeah. That's all this. That's all this is. There will be some craziness,
Yep.
and I think something like how this bracket is looking is kind of close. Not necessarily, but kind of close to how my bracket's gonna look. But
Yep.
you'll see when it happens. But
Yep.
I
So that puts us Elim finals.
yeah, elim finals. But you'll see my bracket will come out, and you guys are gonna call me crazy. But I'll just let y'all know right now, I am 3 for 3 on major
He
champion
is.
picks.
He has picked the right champs.
Like every 3 for 3, 1, 2, and 3, got them all right. So we'll see. Maybe I'm faded for this. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I know the script. Maybe I know my COD, or
Or maybe you're
I'm just
biased.
maybe I'm just an idiot.
Um, honestly, and
I
you're gonna like this for me. I don't think this one's a conversation.
You really don't because I have Miami winning this one. Believe it or not.
I have Seattle winning it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are. You're gonna have to convince me otherwise, but I just think Miami is the hotter team, and I think they have Surge's number. Kind of like it's the same. To
Uh,
me, this is the same scenario as like when Surge plays World Ravens.
I just think all year I've kind of looked at it where it was like if any non top four team was going to win an event, it was going to be Surge. I feel like they've comfortably been that fifth best team, knocking on the door of four. And I don't know. I mean, it's just. I think the biggest X factor for this type of matchup, obviously, would be 0-4. Because
Yeah,
I've seen him have some takeover games. I've seen him have some
yeah.
very sus games. But I think the SMG matchup within this match combined, I think it favors Seattle personally. Even though Real has been insane since joining Miami.
Here's my thing. I think Brezzy is the X factor
That's
because
another good one. Yep.
if Brezzy has a great game, I could definitely a great series. I could definitely see them winning it. But my thing is Real is playing crazy. We talked about the role swap earlier from Vikul um, and Metals, and that's worked. I just think Miami. I also just think Miami has Surge's number, man. I mean, at the
Let's
end of the
do it.
day,
Let's
I
do
think
it.
Miami takes it. And it
Let's
pains me to
get
say it.
crazy.
I love Surge. I love Hook and all those guys over there, but I just think Miami kind of has Surge's number unless we get proven wrong. So, and here is the mania.
Hold up. Hold up. No, I'm gonna go get one from the Google. Real time graphic design right here. Who will be our Mickey Mouse champion? Will it be atlfaze? Or will it be the Miami Heretics?
And here's the thing too, man. I'm about to leak my winner.
Let
Um,
them cook.
I have Miami winning this event, but if it was in this scenario, it's this finals. I don't see FaZe losing.
Yep, yep, right there.
Maybe if it was Surge there, I could potentially see it happening, but I think we got FaZe winning it.
The Mickey Mouse Olympics. How do I
Oh
move this?
man,
Oh yeah, hold up. We're going full on zooming in on that.
there it is.
Oh, I messed it up. There you have it. You're never
So
shocked. Major four champs of the Mickey Mouse Grand Final, the Disneyland. It should be sponsored by Disneyland because it is in California. But yeah, I gotta go Atlanta Phase.
yeah, if it's FaZe versus Heretics, I'm definitely taking FaZe, and I could see Heretics winning a couple maps, so maybe like 4-2 in the grand finals.
Yeah, I don't think they get swept.
No,
I could even see them like they lose map one, they take map two, and everyone's kind of like,
oh
"Oh,
shit,
we might have a series here." And then FaZe kind of like takes the next two, and everyone's like, "Oh shit."
yeah, kind of how I
Um,
would see it happening. But I guess that's gonna do it. So
yeah,
just before we wrap up, if we could kind of, if you could pull up a graphic of like an old um, major, um, bracket of an old major that shows the points. I'd like to see who would, in our scenario, would be making champs, and we'll end it on that.
you're saying like go pull up the,
Yeah, you like go to
uh,
breaking point or something where it shows like
yeah.
points breakdown. They're great for it. Shout out breaking point.
Shout out Breaking Point. All right, standings for the season as of today.
So this is who would be getting in if it ended today. But if we were to take our major and allot some points,
Yep.
could you pull up a previous um I think you have to um go back to breaking point, go to events up at the top, like scroll up, events,
Where's that? Oh,
where we can see a points breakdown or something. I remember we were able to see it before major 3 tournament. And it
got the
showed
money.
that's we want to see the points breakdown for how much points they were given after they won.
Yeah.
We saw it before. I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm gonna look myself too. Just to,
I want to say first is 100. Second,
let's see,
I don't know.
matches. I think it's matches completed. Or no, it's not. Let's see, CDO standings.
Oh, I think I know how to do it. Major
Major land.
three.
Oh, I see it. I see it. So you go to, yeah, and then major
I
land.
got it.
Okay, so we would have
So Phase would be getting
100,
100. They're
which
in.
would, yeah. So they would for sure finish with the top seed.
Yeah, let me pull up the standings again on a different tab. I'll just kind of put them side
Yeah,
by side.
so they'd finish with just shy of 600. That's crazy.
Ah,
We have we would have um
Here, we
Miami
just need to
picking
see the
up.
points.
Yeah, we'd have Miami picking up 75, so they'd be up at 245.
Yep.
We'd have
So they'd be
Surge picking up
fifth.
60, so they'd be at 230.
Yep. So that'd be your fifth and sixth seed right there.
Yep, right there. New we would have. Oh, go back to our bracket. Toronto would get 45.
Yep.
So Toronto would lock up that 2 seed for sure. Um, Toronto would get 45, so they'd be at 495. Almost 100 points difference from atlfaze to
Yep.
Toronto. Kind of crazy.
Yep.
Let's see. Who did we have top six? Finished in top six
Uh,
on our bracket.
NYSL
NYSL
and
and
Carolina.
Carolina. So they would both get 30 points.
Yep. Oh.
So they would break into, what would that put? Really, I mean, subliners are in.
Yep.
So, but if we gave Carolina, they'd be at 180. That would move them up to the seventh spot.
Yep.
And then since we had LAT going out so early, they got 0.
Yep.
So I think that puts Vegas Legion in at the 8th seed. So you're looking at our predictions for champs is FaZe, Ultra, Optic, Subliners, Miami, Seattle, Carolina, and Vegas Legion.
Wait. So explain the LAT thing again.
LAT is going out top 12, right?
Top 12, so they get 0.
They get 0. How many points does that give Vegas Legion? They get 15. They'd be
They'd
tied
be
technically.
tied.
So LAT would technically get in, I think,
Well,
because
the
they have
thing
more
is,
map wins.
though, but that's only right now because with how we have, how many would they have? Would Vegas have? Oh, they would just have one because they'd beat Boston and that's it.
But they finished top 8, so that gives them 15 points, right?
No, I'm saying, but they would have less wins overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
So
LAT would still get it.
that would actually be LAT. So LAT would get that 8th spot. Unfortunate for Legion.
Yeah, and just unfortunate in general. I just if you can't win on land, I, having you at champs is kind of weird, but
Yeah.
that's what online is for, I guess. But yeah, I think that concludes our bracket, our
Yeah, that,
combined bracket. We will be sharing our own picks, whether it's later tonight or tomorrow. But I guess congrats to atlfaze on your Mickey Mouse title. Uh, and look, I'm not just saying that because it's FaZe. It could be any team
yeah.
that wins this thing. I would throw Mickey Mouse on that graphic because, you know, look what they took away from me, not having this major in Carolina. I'm still pissed. So whoever wins, you're a Mickey Mouse winner. Unless you're Carolina, then you're perfect.
There we go. So,
Uh,
I guess that's gonna conclude today's episode of
yep.
Never Chalked, where it is never chalked.
Never chalked.
It is never chalked. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will have this graphic out shortly, and you guys can comment and tell us how stupid and crazy we are all you want. But we don't care. We just made the perfect bracket. Here it
That's
is.
right.
FaZe, your winners over the Miami Heretics.
That's right.
We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.